Snow was falling softly that Christmas Eve, blanketing the small town of Maple Grove in a quiet, magical glow. Streetlights shimmered through the flurries like tiny halos, and carolers' distant voices floated in the crisp night air. Ethan Walker held his 7-year-old daughter Lily's hand as they walked home from the church's candlelight service. Her pink mittens clutched a half-melted candy cane, and her little boots left tiny prints beside his larger ones. The world felt peaceful, until Lily suddenly stopped. She tugged on Ethan's coat sleeve and pointed across the street. "Daddy, why is she selling bread on Christmas Eve?" Ethan followed her gaze. A young woman stood alone on the corner beside a small wooden cart. The wind whipped at her scarf as she tried to keep her balance on the icy sidewalk. On the cart sat neat rows of homemade loaves wrapped in brown paper, each one marked with a handwritten tag, "Fresh bread -$2." No one seemed to notice her. People passed by with shopping bags and laughter, hurrying home to warmth and family. The woman's breath showed in the air as she called out softly, "Fresh bread." Still warm. But her voice was drowned out by the sound of car engines and holiday music. Ethan's heart tightened. There was something in her eyes, something weary yet hopeful. He felt a pang of guilt as he watched her shiver. It didn't feel right, not on a night meant for joy and togetherness. Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. "Daddy, doesn't she have a home?" Ethan looked down at his daughter, then back at the woman across the street. For a moment, he didn't have an answer. Only a question echoing in his own heart. As they continued down the snowy sidewalk, Ethan couldn't shake the image of the young woman standing alone in the cold. Lily's small hand in his felt warm, grounding him, but her question lingered in his mind. "Daddy, doesn't she have a home?" Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered a Christmas Eve not so long ago, before he became a single dad, when life had felt like a constant struggle. He and Lily's mother had barely made enough to pay rent, surviving on odd jobs and the little money they earned selling handmade candles in the town square. That night, he had walked through streets much like these, shivering, holding her tiny hand, wondering if Christmas would even arrive for them. He could still feel the mixture of hope and fear, the hope that someone, anyone, would notice them, and the fear that no one would. Ethan looked down at Lily, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity and empathy. It hit him then how much she already understood the world, even at 7. "Daddy," she said softly, tugging him from his thoughts, "can we help her?" Her voice carried the kind of simple honesty that can't be ignored. Ethan paused. He thought of the groceries he had planned for tomorrow, the bills stacked neatly on the counter at home, and the warmth of their little apartment. But none of that mattered right now. What mattered was the girl across the street, standing in the cold, trying to make ends meet on the very night the world celebrated giving and kindness. Ethan smiled, a small, determined smile that Lily immediately mirrored. "Yes, sweetheart," he said, squeezing her hand. "Let's see what we can do." In that moment, the snow seemed to sparkle a little brighter, and Ethan felt the familiar tug of hope. Maybe, just maybe, tonight could be a Christmas they all would remember. Ethan and Lily crossed the street, their boots crunching in the fresh snow. The cold bit at their cheeks, but it couldn't dampen the warmth rising in Ethan's chest. As they approached the wooden cart, the young woman looked up. Her eyes, tired but resolute, met his. "Fresh bread, sir, only $2 a piece," she said, her voice small, almost apologetic. Her fingers clutched the edge of the cart, knuckles white from the cold. Ethan noticed the worn sneakers peeking out from the bottom of her coat and the way her scarf had frayed at the edges. He dug into his coat pocket, counting the bills he had intended for groceries. Just enough to cover tomorrow, he thought. But looking at her, something inside him shifted. He remembered that same feeling he had felt years ago, needing someone to see you, to acknowledge your struggle, to give you hope. "I'll take 5 loaves, he said, surprising even himself. Her eyes widened. "5, sir, that's too much." He shook his head, smiling warmly. "It's Christmas Eve. Keep the change." Lily's small hand rested on the counter as she added, "We just want to help." Tears welled up in the young woman's eyes. She hesitated, then handed them the warm loaves wrapped in brown paper. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means to me," she whispered, her voice cracking. Ethan nodded, feeling a lump in his throat. "Sometimes, the smallest acts make the biggest difference," he said gently. As they walked away, the scent of freshly baked bread clinging to their coats, Lily looked up at him, her eyes shining. "Daddy, it feels good to help someone," she said. Ethan ruffled her hair, smiling through his own tears. "It does, sweetheart. That's what Christmas is really about." The snow continued to fall, soft and endless, as if the night itself was blessing their small act of kindness. Ethan and Lily walked home, their arms full of warm loaves of bread, the paper wrapping slightly damp from the falling snow. Lily glanced up at him, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Daddy, can we give some to the neighbors too?" Ethan smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "Yes, sweetheart. Let's share this warmth." Door by door, they went down their quiet, snow-covered street. At the first house, they handed a loaf to Mr. Thompson, the elderly veteran who lived alone. His hands trembled as he accepted it, and a wide smile broke across his face. "Bless you too, bless you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Next was Mrs. Jenkins, a single mother juggling 3 kids and a holiday meal that never seemed enough. Her eyes filled with tears as Lily handed her a loaf. "You didn't have to, but thank you," she said softly. By the time they reached the last house, a small crowd of neighbors had gathered, curious about the laughter and soft voices carrying through the crisp air. With each loaf they gave away, Ethan watched hearts lift, faces brighten, and conversations bloom. Strangers became neighbors. For a moment, the street felt warmer than any heater could make it. Lily tugged on his coat again. "Daddy, look." She pointed at Maria, the young woman from the cart, watching from across the street, her eyes wide and shimmering. She waved, almost shyly, as if unsure she deserved this sudden ripple of kindness. Ethan knelt down to her level, brushing snow off her hood. "See, Lily, one small act can touch so many lives," he said. "It starts with a choice, to care." Lily hugged him tightly, and for the first time, they both felt it. The true magic of Christmas wasn't in the gifts, the decorations, or the feast. It was in giving, in seeing someone, and in making the world a little brighter, one loaf at a time. Later that night, after the snow had settled into a quiet blanket over Maple Grove, Ethan and Lily returned home. The apartment smelled faintly of cinnamon and pine from the small tree they had decorated earlier. Lily placed the remaining loaves on the kitchen table, her eyes bright with pride. A sudden knock at the door made them both jump. Ethan opened it to find Maria standing there, her scarf wrapped tightly around her neck, cheeks pink from the cold. In her hands, she held a small box wrapped in simple brown paper. Her eyes glistened as she stepped inside, brushing snowflakes off her coat. I just wanted to say thank you," she said, her voice trembling. She set the box down on the counter and slowly opened it. Inside was a loaf of her best bread, carefully wrapped, and a handwritten note. Ethan picked it up and read aloud. "Greater than, because of you and your little girl, I can finally buy medicine for my father. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. Lily's small hand found his, squeezing tightly. "Daddy, we helped her," she whispered, her voice full of wonder. Ethan knelt beside her, holding her close. "You see, sweetheart, Christmas isn't about what we get," he said softly, "it's about what we give, and how we make others feel seen, loved, and remembered." Maria smiled through tears, and in that warm little apartment, a quiet miracle had unfolded. Snow continued to fall outside, covering the world in soft white, but inside, hearts were full, and spirits lifted. For Ethan and Lily, that night became a memory they would carry forever, a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can ripple through the lives of many, turning a cold Christmas Eve into a celebration of hope, humanity, and the true spirit of giving.